the ideal vacation spot for all animal enthusiasts, home to the Great Migration, the greatest animal migration in the world. More than 1.7 million wildebeest, 500,000 zebras, and 200,000 antelope can be found in Serengeti National Park. Although many of you may already be aware of this wonderful national park, the truth is rather different. How much do you know about Tanzania's magnificent Serengeti National Park? Are you considering visiting the reserve to see the Great Migration in action or to cross off the Big Five from your bucket list? If that's the case, you should be aware of the real story of Serengeti National Park. In today's video, we'll be revealing the real story of Serengeti National Park. Are you guys excited? But before moving further, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon for more amazing content like this. Without further ado, let's start. While one should make an effort to view history through the perspective of the historical period, some events of the Serengeti's past undoubtedly gives us pause. For instance, a 2,286 square kilometer tract was designated as a game reserve in 1930 and permitted sport hunting until 1937. Thankfully, it received protected area status in 1940, and the southern Serengeti and Ngorongoro highlands became parts of the national park in 1951. It is currently one of the biggest and the best wildlife attractions in the world, with a Big Five, over 1 million wildebeest, more than 500 bird species, and an amazing 100 different types of dung beetles, all calling it home. The Maasai people, who were nomadic and called the Eastern Mara region's wide grasslands endless plains, used to graze their livestock freely in the Serengeti before there were any bureaucracy or colonial involvement. The word Serengeti, which means a vast open area where the land extends forever in Maasai, is the origin of the term Serengeti. Can you guess where the roots of this magnificent national park are attached? Yes, it's in Africa. Therefore, for about 4 million years, our ancestors lived in the region with the wildlife of this ancient territory, just as the Maasai do today. Given the fact that we have origins in Africa, it makes sense that the continent may be 4 billion years older than Europe and North America. That is why we advise you to gaze out the window as you fly over the flattened mountains and much of this vast region into undulating, never-ending hills and plains, with a few peaks here and there as you might land at Kilimanjaro Airport. The question now arises, before the park, what was there in this huge land? The geologically active East African Rift System, where two tectonic plates are gradually drifting apart, is the only exception to this flattened rule. The beautiful Rift Valley and volcanoes on either side, including Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, and Mount Meru, are the result of fissures that have formed as a result of this. You might have noticed that Ngorongoro crater resembles an extinct volcano. However, according to geological specialists and surveys, it has never erupted, unlike the majority of its neighbors. Moving on, we now head to Ngorongoro crater. What is it and how is it connected? The Ngorongoro crater, also known as the caldera, is where a mountain fell in on itself as tectonic plates moved apart. Although Ngorongoro isn't officially inside the Serengeti, it flanks the eastern boundary and is a safari add-on that we heartily suggest. Travelers can encounter the Maasai people, whose rich culture and customs are still followed today in this location where they still reside and graze their cattle. But how did the Great Migration take place? Let's see. One section of the migration path is the Serengeti, and in 1961, the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya was founded. The Lamai Wedge, which is located between the Mara River and the Kenyan border, and was later added to the Serengeti in 1965, was established earlier. The beautiful wildebeests were able to migrate permanently from the Serengeti Plains in the south to the Loita Plains and Masai Mara in the north because of these reserves and their protected status. Like everything else in the wild, the timing and the flow of the migration are determined by weather patterns, but generally speaking, the wildebeest migrate to the southern Serengeti from December to April. This is because in February, the calving season starts, during which more than 500,000 calves are born within 3 weeks. The Serengeti herds often spend time in the central and western regions of the Serengeti from April onwards before continuing their migration farther north from June onwards. Before entering Kenya's Masai Mara, some people might move to the western corridor while others might pick the Grumeti River, Serenera or Loliondo region. The cycle then restarts in the Serengeti as the herds start their long journey there in late October or early November. Everyone who loves visiting National Park would surely love this one. But what is the status of the World Heritage Site for Serengeti? The Serengeti National Park was one of the first places in the world to be designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1981 thanks to its compelling Great Migration show and unspoiled scenery. With one of the largest remaining true wildernesses in the world attracting the proper attention of the world, as well as the protection and unique privileges that go along with it, we feel it is our responsibility to contribute to its protection. What exactly is Serengeti famous for? Briefly stated, Tanzania's Serengeti National Park is well known for hosting the Great Wildlife Migration, which involves 2 million wildebeests, zebras and antelopes migrating over its plains. In addition, it is a sizable wild game park that is home to the Big Five. The Big Five, the Great Migration and the Serengeti's enormous vastness all contribute to the region's fame. In actuality, the Serengeti is the best safari location for these and other reasons. Seriously, there isn't another park like it in our opinion. Now let's see about the area of this magnificent park. Serengeti National Park is a truly huge park covering around 15,000 square kilometers. Its size can be compared to that of the state of Maryland. It's astounding how much wildlife there is in the park, both in terms of quantity and variety. You can witness hundreds of different animal and bird species if you drive for hours in any direction, and they're all thriving in their proper habitats. Well, we now have some understanding of why it is famous, but is that all for such a great national park? Certainly not. Let's discuss the Great Migration, the Big Five, and beautiful landscapes. The Great Migration. The Great Migration herds spreading across the Serengeti grasslands is another breathtaking sight. This movement involves more than 2 million hoofed animals who are perpetually seeking fresh water and richer pastures. The animals must cross rivers at specific locations throughout their migration route. When this happens, complete chaos reigns. The animals recognize the hazards and rush through in large groups while moving as swiftly as they can. Many people die from being crushed underfoot, while others are carried away by the stream, and even more are killed by crocodiles. The need for grazing land and water is what propels the movement. While the migration's main trajectory is pretty predictable, little annual deviations in its course are caused by things like rainfall and land changes. This makes it possible for park guides and tourists to know exactly where to go to watch the migration in action. The wildebeest, or GNU, is at the center of the Great Migration. The word wildebeest means wild beast in Afrikaans. Approximately 1.5 million wildebeest, 300,000 Thompson gazelles, 200,000 zebras, as well as sizable herds of elands and impalas take place in the migration. The Mara and Grumeti river crossings in Serengeti National Park are among the most captivating of the migration. Every time a herd of wildebeests crosses one of the rivers, chaos ensues. They are aware of the threat, yet their instinctive need to get to a nice pasture is so strong. Every year, thousands of wildebeest perish in the stampede or at the hands of crocodiles while trying to cross rivers. The ecosystem then depends on the carcasses to support crocodiles, hippos, hyenas, vultures, fish, and other animals. The Big Five. Importantly, the Serengeti National Park is home to the Big Five: the lion, leopard, bush elephant, African buffalo, and black rhino. All of the Big Five can be found in just a few African parks. Furthermore, the Serengeti is home to large gatherings of each of the Big Five, including buffalo herds that can number in the thousands. Even a super pride of 22 lions exists in the center of the Serengeti. There is more information about the Big Five to come, and we're sure that you'll be surprised by a lot of it. The Big Five are there in Serengeti National Park, yes, so you may expect to hopefully see lions, leopards, rhinoceroses, buffalo, and elephants. It may interest you to know that the Big Five name was not chosen because of the size of the animals. For example, the hippo is much larger and heavier than a lion or a leopard, but is not counted among the Big Five. Instead, game hunters invented the phrase to describe the creatures that are most difficult to dispatch on foot. This is due to their elusiveness, speed, and ferocity. A sad but accurate etymology. Fortunately, Serengeti National Park is a protected area, therefore hunting is no longer permitted there. A brief description of each of Serengeti's Big Five creatures is listed now. Number 1. Eastern black rhinos. Rhinos can be either white or black, and you can tell the difference between the two species by the way their mouths are shaped. Black rhinos may pull leaves off of trees and bushes with their pointed or hook-lipped lips. The broader, square-lipped mouths of white rhinos, on the other hand, are employed for munching grass. White rhinos are not, of course, white in color. Their name in fact comes from English immigrants who thought the Africans term wide, which means broad, not white. Black rhinos live in the Serengeti, but they are also not the color of the moniker, rather they are grey or brown. Sadly, rhino poaching is a significant issue whenever rhinos exist in the wild. The Serengeti situation deteriorated so badly in the 1970s, and by 1978, only 10 black rhinos were thought to remain in the Serengeti Mara ecosystem as a whole. Thankfully, that figure is currently a little less alarming, but the species are still seriously threatened. It has been determined that some subspecies, like the western black rhino, are extinct. Number 2. African lions. The Serengeti ecoregion is home to about 3,000 lions, not just because they are numerous, but also because they like to lounge under trees for hours on end. They are rather simple to identify. Lions can actually spend up to 20 hours every day lounging. Lions are gregarious animals, and they live in prides. Along with up to 3 unrelated male lions, linked lionesses live their entire lives in pride. While the main lions remain to guard the pride, the lionesses hunt in packs. However, when a kill is brought back to the pride, the males get first dibs. And did you know that among all cat species, the male lion has the loudest roar? Up to 8 kilometers away, it is audible. Number 3. African bush elephants. Have you ever heard of the proverb, "An elephant never forgets"? This is due to the elephant's superior memory. The biggest brain ever found on land can weigh up to 5 kilograms in an African bush elephant. Can you imagine that fully grown African elephant bulls frequently reach weights of 5 to 6 tons when they are at their largest? African elephants differ significantly from Asian elephants in a number of aspects, including size, head form, tusk, trunk tip, skin, and ear size and shape. Additionally, African bush elephants and African forest elephants differ in size and back shape, with the former having a concave back and the latter having an almost flat back. The world's largest land mammal, African bush elephants, may be seen in Serengeti National Park. Number 4. Cape buffaloes. Large cattle that live their entire lives in vast herds are known as Cape buffaloes, commonly referred to as African buffaloes. They are dreadful beasts that should not be taken lightly. Even a herd of buffaloes will fight a lion, especially if they need to exact justice for a kidnapped calf. A buffalo's weight can reach 1 ton. The males have strong weapons in the form of large, rounded horns. Apart from people, their only true predators are lions and huge crocodiles. However, buffalo are difficult to kill and extremely aggressive when cornered. They are typically regarded as one of Africa's most dangerous creatures. Number 5. African leopards. When a leopard makes a kill, it typically carries it up a tree so that hyenas and other scavengers won't bother it. They have jaws that are exceedingly strong. Leopards growl when upset and purr when happy, just like domestic cats. In order to demarcate their area and ward off rival leopards, they also will scratch trees, urinate and poop, only to mate. Male and female leopards assemble before departing on separate missions. However, a leopardess does care for her young for roughly 2 years after giving birth, typically to 2 or 3 cubs at a time. The young people then venture out on their own after that. Now we'll move on to the most attractive factor of Serengeti, its beautiful landscapes. Not simply for the animals, but also for its wide and varied settings, the Serengeti is a delight to explore. The park includes wetlands, riverine forests, meadows, woodlands and more. To really comprehend this ecosystem, you must see and experience it for yourself. It is rich, diverse and absolutely stunning. Please go to Serengeti National Park if you enjoy taking landscape photographs so you can understand when to catch its dark, stormy skies. Is that enough? The answer is no. We will now move on to the Serengeti Mara ecosystem. That's really important. The Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya and the Serengeti National Park in Ngorongoro Conservation Area in Tanzania are both parts of the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, a transnationally protected area. One of the world's largest ecosystems at 40,000 square kilometers, about 15,000 square miles, it's huge. In the ecosystem, over 500,000 wildebeest calves are born each year. This is one of the busiest times of year in Serengeti National Park since it is calving season, which lasts from January through March. Every day in February, almost 8,000 calves are born. Visitors can see calves being born left, right and center during this time because zebras and other species are also giving birth. If there is a park, there should be predators too. Well, these predators are known as Great Migration predators. Let's see what it actually is. Predators like lions and crocodiles are among the many animals attracted by the migration, adding to the drama and spectacle. In actuality, the Serengeti lions spend more months leading up to the migration tracking the movements of the wildebeest migration. The environment also benefits from scavengers like hyenas, which eat the dead wildebeest and other animals that perish during the migration. That's it, folks. The magic of Serengeti National Park is hard to put into words. Before realizing that it's impossible, you will attempt to describe the buzz of millions of wildebeests, which is so dense in the air that it vibrates through your entire body. Simply for the sunset views of the honey-lit plains, the drive is worthwhile. The honest grins of the Maasai people instantly make you feel warm within. Any time of year is a great time to visit the Serengeti National Park since it is breathtaking there. Or perhaps you simply like the feeling of constantly being surrounded by a large number of animals. What are your thoughts on Africa's most interesting national park? Did you like the story of Serengeti? Are you planning to visit Serengeti once in a lifetime? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like our work, don't forget to like the video